Good morning, televiewers of Mamida Prime Television, and thank you so much for joining us on this other edition of The Brief, dedicated to the review of striking headlines in the papers. On today's edition of the program, the newspapers are still focusing on the disappearance of the Fond of Mancon, His Royal Majesty Fond Angwafo III, who reportedly disappeared on the 21st of May 2022. The disappearance was announced by his close aide, Kwifon, and also officially announced by Northwest Governor Adolphe Lele Lafrique. We shall equally tell you about the move taken by the state authorities in Cameroon in barring the former Secretary General of FECAFOOD from leaving the country. The former Secretary General of FECAFOOD was barred recently by officials in Yaoundé from leaving the country. We shall tell you more on that. Not leaving out the infrastructural developments by the government of the Republic of Cameroon, as over 1,260 plus billion francs CFA to be used in the construction of the Yaoundé ring road in a bid to decongest the city from traffic. Bomotonguina, Gwladys is here. Let's find out what she gathered for us in the French language newspapers. Bonjour Gwladys.
Bonjour Lasha Kinsley, bonjour à vous et merci de rester fidèle à Debrief, votre émission bilingue de revue de presse sur Mamida Prime Télévision. Alors, ce matin, nous allons débuter avec le journal Entrepreneur. Le journal Entrepreneur qui nous présente ici un grand titre. Le speech de Lupaul Motazé à Libreville au Gabon. En effet, emprunt obligatoire 2022. La crédibilité du Cameroun n'est jamais mis en doute. Je cite, si je suis devant vous, c'est parce que je ne veux pas un plus, je veux un peu plus. Les besoins sont énormes. Nous préparons en ce moment une loi de finances rectificative à cause de l'impact considérable de la crise en Ukraine. Au Cameroun, avec la hausse du prix du pétrole, nous enregistrons un manque à gagner de plus de 600 milliards de francs CFA. C'est du moins les dires de Lupaul Motazé, ministre des Finances, devant les souscripteurs le 16 mai 2022 à Libreville au Gabon. Les détails sont donc en page 2 et 3 de ce journal Entrepreneur ce matin. Mesdames, Messieurs, nous continuons ce matin avec le journal Éco-Politique qui nous parle ici de la FECAFOOD en grand titre. Annuler l'élection, mais penser à la discipline qu'a instauré Samuel Eto'o-Fils. Du moins, le président de la FECAFOOD, Samuel Eto'o-Fils, est dans une chaise chauffante. Les détails sont donc en page 11 de ce journal Éco-Politique ce matin. Mesdames, Messieurs, nous poursuivons avec le journal L'Info à chaud. Le journal L'Info à chaud nous parle ici d'une Camerounaise nommée vice-ministre de la Défense. Il s'agit en effet de Laura Taylor Kell, qui est la Camerounaise nommée vice-ministre de la Défense aux États-Unis d'Amérique. Les détails sont en page 3 de ce journal L'Info à chaud ce matin. Crypto-monnaie, la RCA persiste et signe. Les détails sont en page 8 de l'Info à chaud ce matin. Page 2, le journal nous parle de remise de dons au sultan Bamoun, Global Capacity Building Foundation et l'IAI Cameroun Connecté. SOS Solidarité, cri de détresse des vedettes Ekambi Briand et Marthe Zambo. Les détails sont en page 5 de ce journal L'Info à chaud ce matin. Mesdames, Messieurs, nous poursuivons avec la nouvelle expression. La nouvelle expression parle ce matin des lauréats de l'ENS et de l'INSET. En effet, Femme Ndogo tente d'arrondir les angles. Le ministre de l'Enseignement supérieur a fait une sortie explicative et confoyeuse au sujet de la proposition qu'il a faite de concert avec Joseph Lé pour la non-intégration directe de ces enseignants à la fin de leur formation. Les détails sont donc en page 5 de la nouvelle expression ce matin. En page 4, le journal nous parle d'une crise au SIF. Un ancien député monte donc au créneau. Mesdames, Messieurs, nous poursuivons ce matin. Nous poursuivons, nous clôturons ce matin avec le journal Le Messager. Le Messager qui nous parle en grand titre de l'Assemblée nationale du Cameroun. En effet, le journal intitule en grand titre que Cavaillé Yégué Dibril est donc sur un trône éjectable à l'Assemblée nationale. Les détails sont donc en page 3 de ce journal Le Messager ce matin. En page 5, le journal nous parle de vie chère au Cameroun, l'insoutenable inflation des produits de première nécessité au Cameroun au jour d'aujourd'hui. Les détails sont donc effectivement en page 5 du journal Le Messager ce matin. En page 3, le journal nous parle de nécrologie. En effet, le journal nous parle donc de la vie et de la mort du chef Anguafor 3. Les détails sont donc en page 3 de ce journal Le Messager ce matin. Mesdames, Messieurs, c'est tout pour vos titres en langue française. Place à la découverte des titres en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha.
Thank you, Bomotonguina. Gladys, let's kickstart this morning with the Horizon newspaper. The Horizon newspaper this morning, like we earlier mentioned in our introduction, is interested in the 20th May celebration, which took place recently across the national territory. This time around, the paper is worried about what happened in a Tuba subdivision in the northwest region, where students of government or students of the University of Bambili, they were ferried to Bamenda to take part in the SET National Unity Day celebration. You can read more in this edition of the SET newspaper talking about what happened in Bamenda, or what happened in Tuba in the northwest region of the country. We leave the Horizon newspaper. We are with the Median. The Median newspaper is also interested in the 50th National Unity Day. Bia's regal presence at May 20 Avenue in Yaoundé. The head of state, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, chaired the traditional military-civilian parade on Friday in Yaoundé as a separatist imposed lockdown marked events in parts of the north and the southwest regions of the country. The paper is also interested in the disappearance of the Fon of Mankon, Fon Anguafor III, who went missing on May 21st, 2022 in Bamenda. His death was announced, or his disappearance was announced by his close aide, Quifon, and also by the Northwest Governor Adolphe Lele Lafri. You can read more on the profile of the late traditional ruler who has been on the throne of the Mankon people for over 63 years, only in this edition of the Median newspaper. On to the Scoop. The Scoop newspaper is also talking about the disappearance of the Fon of Mankon, Fon Anguafor III. Read more on page 2, talking about the life and death of the late traditional ruler, only in this edition of the Scoop newspaper. Like I told you in my introduction, the former Secretary General of FECAFOOT has been barred from leaving the country. Didier Banlok was barred recently by state authorities shortly after he resigned from FECAFOOT. More details on the reasons why he was barred from leaving the country only in this edition of the Scope newspaper. We end with the Guardian Post. The Guardian Post this morning is taking us to Ndonga Mountain Division in the northwest region of the country to talk about 20th May celebration in that part of the country. The paper tells us that mammoth crowd fed 20th May in Messager and also use event to highlight fruits of win-win partnership with the Bias regime in that part of the country. And also in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper, Ninche scheming to overthrow me as SDF. Those were the words of the chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party, Nijon Frundi, on the flagship magazine program on Cameroon Radio and Television, Cameroon Calling. Nijon Frundi accused his regional president for Littoral as trying to take decision or overthrow him and lead the party as boss. You can read more on the interview of Nijon Frundi on Cameroon Calling, only in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. Thank you for watching, televiewers on My Media Prime. We are back in the studio to continue with our discussions this morning, and we are receiving our colleague of the English desk, Manuela Moni, who is joining us this morning in the studio. Good morning, Manuela, and welcome.
Good morning, Kingsley. Good morning to you all watching us this morning. I hope we're going to have a wonderful time together.
Okay, Gwladys.
Effectivement, Lasha Kinsley, Moni, bienvenue sur le plateau. Alors, on va commencer rapidement avec le problème de Samuel Eto'o-Fils. L'écho politique en parle ce matin. Le président de la FECAFOOT sur une chaise chauffante, malgré tous les accomplissements qu'il a pu faire en ce laps de temps. Qu'est-ce qui se passe en fait au Cameroun?
Well, Gwladys, je ne sais pas s'il faut que je parle en français ou en anglais. Mais je crois que pour tout chef, c'est souvent très difficile. Quand tu commences quelque chose, il y a toujours des gens qui ne seront pas avec toi. Il y a surtout ceux qui ont été là avant toi, ils voudront toujours te dire ce qu'il faut faire, ce qu'il ne faut pas faire, ou te dire que tu as fait ceci bien et tu n'as pas fait ceci bien. Mais je crois que pour quelqu'un comme Samuel Eto'o, j'apprécie d'abord sa manière de voir certaines choses, sa manière de faire certaines choses, genre la pression qui est mise sur lui, il ne prend pas vraiment ça en compte, genre, ça ne le dérange pas, il est focalisé, il a un but.
Mais on peut voir au jour d'aujourd'hui quand même que les footballeurs, les professionnels, les petits clubs sont vus déjà au Cameroun. Pourquoi un tel acharnement, peut-être à cause de la résignation d'un de ses collaborateurs récemment?
Bon, je crois que le fait que son collaborateur ait décidé de quitter, je crois que c'est son choix. Mais pour ma part, je crois que lui, Samuel Eto'o, est en train de faire quelque chose de bien parce que nous connaissons la situation des joueurs camerounais. Oui, nous savons qu'ils n'ont pas de bonnes situations, surtout financières. Oui. Et avec la venue de Samuel Eto'o, au moins, nous avons déjà quelque chose.
Oui, parce qu'en même temps, il a sommé les présidents des clubs à devoir justifier pourquoi est-ce que ces footballeurs n'étaient pas payés.
Exactement. Et vraiment, c'est pathétique de savoir que certains de ces joueurs, par exemple, j'étais dans un taxi une fois, il y a un homme qui était entré, il parlait avec le taximan, il parlait du fait qu'il est coach d'un club. Et puis, il a dit que, il y a un homme qui disait là que les joueurs sont payés 2500 francs, quelque chose comme ça. Et lui, il a dit, mais vous vous plaignez que 2500 francs, c'est beau, c'est petit. Moi, je suis coach et je donne à mes joueurs 500 francs. Et j'étais choquée, j'étais genre, comment est-ce qu'on peut payer des joueurs après un match 500 francs. C'est pour faire quoi? Pour le taxi, même pour le taxi.
Il y a quand même un budget pour ça.
Exactement.
C'est pourquoi Samuel Eto'o-Fils a sommé les présidents, ou bien ce sont les présidents qui qui cherchent sa peau en ce moment.
Exactement. Mais moi, je crois qu'il fait un travail très, très bien. Je crois que...
And I'm talking about the resignation of the Secretary General who has finally been barred from leaving the country. We read that shortly after his resignation, he locked his office and left with the keys. And this goes a long way to review certain things that Eto'o-Fils has been combating since he took the office as president of FECAFOOT. Many people think that public office in Cameroon they are private offices, they have to turn it into their private property. Don't you think that there is a cabal or a group of individuals who wants to do everything to ensure that Eto'o fails? Because Eto'o means business. First of all, he has his money, and he will not want to tolerate any nonsense from anybody. He's there to revamp football in the country. Don't you think that the people who hijacked football in the country and they were using monies from football, not developing the football, they are the ones behind probably this Secretary General who resigned?
I think they're actually behind it, Kingsley, because just like you said, Eto'o is someone who is wealthy. He really does not need any government money in order to get wealth. So his position as the head of FECAFOOT is something that I know he's going to do his best, you know, in order to see it work. He doesn't have any, I don't think he has any plans of maybe embezzling anything, you know, in order for anything. But I think that those who have been there are against him, or are kind of, you know, planning something against him because they know that his being there is going to put things in the open. Yes. Like there's going to be, you know, there's going to be checks. Checks are going to come up all the time. They'll check everything. There'll be no way for embezzling anything.
But don't these people, you know, I have a feeling that, you know, Eto'o is coming from a different world. He's somebody who has played football at the international level. He has interacted with high-profile personalities, and he has lived in, you know, in countries where things are managed the transparent way. And
yeah, exactly.
Cameroonians who have been working here, they find it so difficult to cope with Eto'o, his own kind of lifestyle when it comes to management of affairs.
The truth is, Cameroonians have difficulties when it comes to transparency. You know, we can see that in all of the ministries in our country, there is a problem of transparency. So when someone like Eto'o, who has, you know, knowledge in this particular field of football, he knows how players are supposed to be treated.
I mean, he started playing a new bell at
exactly
in the mud.
Exactly.
Got to the, you know, training school as a child. He
yeah.
grew up playing football and then up to the level of playing at the international.
Yeah, so he has the experience. He has gone through what these players are going through. So he knows what it is, and he has also gone through, he has also experienced what it is to be out there, you know, be in a good condition as a player and whatever. So I think that is what he's trying to impose, or he's trying to work out for Cameroonian players. But this now is a problem to those who have been there, who have had their way, you know, doing whatever they want to do, maybe with finances and whatever. His being there is really a threat to some of those people, because it is uncalled for someone who resigns and then decides to lock his, you know, his office and leaves with the keys. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. If you are resigning, then
what was he hiding?
Exactly, that's the question.
When you are resigning, it means you have to hand everything.
Everything. You are handing over everything to the person that is supposed to succeed you. So when you close your office and then you're leaving with the keys, then there is something. You start putting something in the minds of people. Even if people never wanted to think about something, they will have to start thinking that, if you are closing your door and you're leaving with your keys, it means there must be something you are hiding. So,
ok, Gwladys.
Ok, effectivement, on va continuer avec le journal L'Entrepreneur. Le journal L'Entrepreneur nous parle, lui, en grand titre, de lui, Paul Motazia, et de son speech à Libreville au Gabon, question de la crédibilité de l'État camerounais pour l'emprunt obligatoire de 2022.
Gladys, c'est vraiment quelque chose que je n'arrive pas à comprendre. Notre pays, en fait, notre économie. Je me demande pourquoi chaque fois nous passons notre temps à emprunter de l'argent. Je ne sais pas. Est-ce que nous n'arrivons pas à produire?
Even borrowing, using the money to do the things that the monies were borrowed for.
Mais on avait déjà borrow avant, non? On avait prêté avant, mais on n'a pas fait.
Oui, on n'a rien fait. Oui. On n'a rien fait avec cet argent, mais le problème c'est que pourquoi emprunter toujours? Moi, j'ai un problème.
Le ministre, il a présenté la situation du Cameroun. Le carburant au Cameroun, l'État camerounais supporte les charges. Il parle de 600 milliards de francs CFA que l'État camerounais supporte.
Why can they not take the money and revamp Sonara or build,
exactly
buy the equipment that will refine petrol and then will sell at lower cost?
It's really something that calls for concern, because we just like I'm saying, we keep wondering why they borrow money, and at the same time we wonder why after borrowing this money they don't do the things that they
Mais est-ce qu'on va dire qu'au Cameroun il n'y a pas de Camerounais capables d'être performants peut-être dans ce niveau de technologie, ou bien qu'est-ce qui se passe? À quoi nous sert Polytechnique? À quoi nous sert... Qu'est-ce qui se passe en fait au Cameroun?
Je ne pourrais vraiment pas expliquer cela, parce que je crois que c'est le gouvernement qui pourra nous dire. Et parce que nous avons tous ces écoles, comme tu viens de citer, mais la vérité c'est que quand il y a un projet dans le pays, on va à l'extérieur, on appelle peut-être les Chinois, on appelle les autres de l'extérieur.
Quand ces gens de l'extérieur viennent, est-ce qu'on ne peut pas former, ou bien c'est nos contrats qui stipulent qu'on ne doit pas former les Camerounais sur le terrain là, parce que être aussi formé sur le tas, ça marche?
Ça marche, c'est quelque chose que normalement on devrait faire. Mais la question c'est pourquoi le gouvernement ne le fait pas? On n'arrive pas à comprendre. Et pourquoi est-ce qu'on ne peut pas apporter, n'est-ce pas, ces experts, qu'ils viennent dans nos écoles, former nos étudiants et tout ça? Je crois que la solution serait peut-être d'apporter ces gens, ces experts-là, de venir dans nos écoles et puis former nos étudiants. Comme ça, quand on aura des projets, on pourra utiliser nos propres citoyens. I hope that's how to say it in French.
Many televiewers have often raised this issue, this problem of what they call in French, train de vie de l'État, that most often these monies, when they are borrowed from outside, the government does not invest this money on infrastructural development and other stuff that will generate, or in the economy that will generate more income, more jobs for Cameroonians. The government borrows, and then most people embezzle this money. Some consume, buy luxurious cars and whatever. The government borrows and consume. That's what some of the televiewers are raising as the worries, the reason why we are where we are, because when monies are borrowed, the monies are not invested into the economy. They instead consume the money.
It's really a pathetic situation, Kingsley, because just like the televiewers are saying, I think that I am a witness, you know, to that. I have been in a company where, you know, you guys work and you work, and then they're unable to pay you. They tell you they cannot, you know, pay you and stuff like that. But there are lapses in that company where personnel is needed and all that. And instead of, you know, getting people, like recruiting personnel to work and all that, they keep buying new cars and then they park them, you know, around the premises, you know, of the institution. They park the cars. A car can be there for like a year. Nobody's using it. A brand new car that costs millions, hundreds of millions. They are parked there, nobody is using it, yet you come to work every day, you are not paid, you are not recruited. They keep saying there's no money, yet these cars are being bought and stuffs like that are happening. So it's a problem that our country has, and it's something that for it to be solved, it needs to start from the roots. We need to go back to the roots in order to solve this.
Don't you have the impression that Cameroonians are not patriotic? Why would somebody embezzle monies that were borrowed for infrastructural development? Like, for example, the government wants to raise 1,260 plus billion for the construction of Yaoundé ring route in a bid to decongest traffic. Are we sure this money, after raising the money, will realize that route within the deadline that the route is supposed to be delivered?
Kingsley, we are really praying and hoping that things happen.
So we are talking about money that you will pay, your children will still pay, everybody
exactly,
will pay.
Exactly, and that's just the thing. And just like you said, I think that most Cameroonians are not patriotic, because if you have to think about the future, think about your children, your children's children, like you think about your fifth generation, actually, you would have it in mind to do something that is going to benefit, you know, your fifth generation. But just the fact that you are not patriotic, it makes you to do whatever you think that is going to be beneficial to you at that moment. You know, we have this problem. We don't think of the future. We think of now, like, I'm here now, let me do my thing now, enjoy now. When I go, the rest can stay and do what they want to do. Whatever can happen to those who are going to stay behind. But for now, let me enjoy now, and that's it.
Ok, merci beaucoup, Moni. On a l'info à chaud, lui qui nous parle d'une Camerounaise qui est vice-ministre aux États-Unis d'Amérique, une Camerounaise.
Une Camerounaise vice-ministre aux États-Unis.
Vice-ministre de la Défense aux États-Unis d'Amérique.
Defense Secretary.
Wow, that's
Cameroonian origin.
Yeah.
Yes, Vice Minister of Defense in the United States of America.
States.
She was
Wow.
named by Joe Biden recently. I think the Herald Tribune, the Horizon. Thank you, Mr. Producer. The Horizon is talking about the lady who was named. Biden appoints Cameroonian American as U.S. Assistant Secretary of Defense.
Wow, this is I think this is great news, and it makes me to start thinking, like, how can Cameroon kind of benefit from this? Because I think it's something that's really, really very great.
The Cameroon has been having military ties with the United States of America, and recently there was so much talk after Cameroon signed, a military cooperation with Russia, where Joseph Betty Asomo was in Russia, in Moscow, and signed on behalf of Cameroon. But we had the ambassador, Lamora, new ambassador to Cameroon, U.S. ambassador to Cameroon, who said relations with Cameroon is not strained as a result of the military cooperation. Like you were saying, what help or what can she bring
to
for us? You know that in America the military is productive, but in
yes,
Cameroon, yes, they actually involve themselves in production. They not only this kind of redundant military that they are only out to go and fight. Yes.
Exactly.
So you are talking about things like that, what we can benefit, whether she's going to bring such things to Cameroon.
To Cameroon, exactly, exactly. It's really something to applaud, and it's something to be proud about. You know, you can walk out now and you're like, a Cameroonian is this in the USA. But I also want to say that it's going to be of great help to us if she can really, use this to help her country, Cameroon. Yeah.
A baobab has fallen, Emanuela. We are talking about the paramount ruler of the Mankon people in the northwest region of the country, Fon Angwafo III, who has been on the throne of the Mankon people for over 63 years, reportedly joined his ancestors recently. That was on May 21, 2022. What I want to find out from you, what is your impression of this late traditional ruler, knowing fully whether he stayed in his palace or, since the crisis in the northwest and southwest broke out, many traditional rulers have had to run away from their palaces, but he stayed. Meanwhile, he was the first vice national president of the ruling CPDM party. Since creation of the party, he has been holding that position, but no Ambazona fighter went to his palace.
Oh, well, Kingsley, I want to say His Majesty was a man of peace. Yeah, I want to believe so, because it's strange that he stayed in Bamenda Mankon, for that matter, for all this while without being, taken by those boys and all that. I think that he was a man of peace, and he was a man that promoted social cohesion, in that part of the country. And that's the reason why, he was able to kind of stay there peaceably till his death on the 21st of May. And
his stay in that in his palace is really a message, a signal to a message to many traditional rulers to be able to draw a line between politics and the tradition. Are we saying that Fon Angwafo really told that line of politics and tradition?
I think he did. I think he did because, we know of other, traditional rulers who fled from their villages. And, fleeing from your village means you've abandoned your people. I want to believe so. But if he was able to stay, first of all, it means he's somebody that had his people at heart. He considered his people, and then he decided to stay with them, come rain, come shine. I just think that he was a good traditional ruler, and he was able to...
Some critics are saying that he helped in destroying his local population, because he has been the first vice national chairman of the ruling CPDM party for 37 years. And he was actively involved in politics, and some of the things that he did were not good. That's what we were reading or hearing from some critics yesterday. But the mystery is how he was able to stay in his palace
for this
while, over 6 years that we have the crisis in the country.
Yeah, because he's one of those that ever since the start of this crisis, I've not really heard something, about him, like something happened to him, or a major thing maybe happened in his village and whatever. But I think that we will always have critics who will say what they have to say with their reasons, of course. But I want to think that Fon Angwafo III was a great traditional ruler.
Yeah, and recently I was having a conversation with the Canadian High Commissioner.
Exactly. That only confirms what I believe, because I think that Fon Angwafo